5 signs that an elderly person is about to die. Important warnings. Have you ever heard that an elderly person you knew was healthy just a few weeks or even days ago, but passed away forever? Why is that? Is it because their health is declining too quickly, or are there actually warning signs that we just don't recognize them? Today I share 5 subtle signs that an elderly person may be in the final stages of life, along with 5 reasons why they die faster and how to care for them so they can live more meaningfully in their final days. 5 important signs. 1. Severely reduced appetite. The elderly eat less, are no longer interested in their favorite foods, and lose weight rapidly due to the digestive system and body gradually weakening. Force feeding can cause fatigue. Instead, create a comfortable atmosphere and provide easily digestible foods. 2. Reduced interaction, less talkative. They are withdrawn, rarely talk, respond briefly or silently. They may mention the deceased or talk about their passing. You need to be patient and be there so they are not lonely. 3. Sleep more than usual. Sleep all day, hard to wake up, still tired when waking up. This is a sign that the body is saving energy, preparing for the final stage. Be there, say loving words while you still have the chance. 4. Forgetfulness, confusion of time/space. Forgetting what just happened, confusing names of people, places, even mentioning the deceased as if they had just met. Don't scold, gently guide, create a sense of security. 5. Unusual behavior changes. Personality changes, from being quiet to being talkative, stingy to being generous. Giving instructions to children and grandchildren, arranging things as if preparing to leave. May be unusually alert before passing away. This is a subtle goodbye, which needs to be cherished. 5 reasons why the elderly die faster. 1. Silent underlying diseases. Chronic diseases, blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, have no obvious symptoms but weaken the body. Regular health checkups are needed for prevention. 2. Mental breakdown, loneliness, loss of loved ones, loss of will to live cause health to decline. Caring, talking, creating joy helps them live longer. 3. Weakened immune system. Old age makes the body susceptible to disease, difficult to recover. Nutrition, light exercise, flu/pneumonia vaccination help increase resistance. 4. A lack of care, improper care. Loneliness, isolation, or being over-controlled causes mental breakdown. Need to accompany them so they feel useful and loved. 5. Natural biological transformation. The body ages, organs gradually stop working. Be there, help them pass away peacefully, do not force them when they do not want to eat or move. Life is unpredictable, care, listen, and love the elderly today. A word of greeting, a handshake can bring warmth and prolong precious moments together. Today, I will tell you the story of Mrs. Lon, a simple grandmother but left a profound lesson about family love, about caring, and about how we can make the last days of the elderly more meaningful. Sit down and listen, because this story can make you look back at your loved ones. The meals are getting bland. Mrs. Lon, now in her 80s, used to be a famous woman in the village for her cooking skills. Her family's meals were always filled with laughter, from the fragrant braised fish to the fragrant sour soup. Her youngest son, Hung, often tells that when he was little he would run home just by smelling the smell of braised fish, grinning and calling out, "Mom, I'm hungry." But now Mrs. Lan's dinner tray has only a few dishes. A bowl of white rice porridge, a few pieces of boiled vegetables, but she can only pick up a few chopsticks and then put them down. Hoa, a close neighbor, noticed that she was eating less and less. Once she brought over a plate of braised pork, her favorite dish, but she just smiled faintly, "Thank you, but my mouth is bland these days, and I don't find anything delicious." Hoa thought that she must be a picky eater, which is what happens with old age, so she just told her to try to eat well. But then she lost weight quickly, her rosy cheeks were now sunken, and her hands trembled when holding chopsticks. Hung, now married and living in the city, every time he called he only heard her say, "Mom is fine, don't worry." He smiled, thinking that his mother was still as strong as before, not knowing that it was the first sign. A serious reduction in eating. As she got older, Mrs. Lan's body no longer functioned as before. Her digestive system slowed down, her organs gradually shut down. She no longer felt hungry, not even thirsty. One day, Ms. Hoa saw her sitting all day and only drinking a few sips of water. When her children urged her to eat more, she just shook her head. "I'm full." Mr. Hung tried bringing home all kinds of nutritious things, from bird's nest to ginseng, but she only ate a few spoonfuls and then stopped. Ms. Hoa advised him, "Mr. Hung, don't push her too hard. Just let her be comfortable, cook her favorite dishes, divide her meals into smaller portions." But he was busy with work in the city piling up, so he just mumbled and forgot. If Mr. Hung were more observant, he would realize that her eating less was not just a matter of old age. It was a sign that her body was preparing for a final journey, a journey that no one could stop. 2. Silent words. Mrs. Lon used to be an active person who loved to tell stories. Every afternoon, she would sit on the porch, telling the children in the neighborhood about the old days, when the village was still poor, when their grandfather was still alive. But in recent months, she has become less talkative. One day, Ms. Hoa came over to visit and asked her a few questions, but she just mumbled and looked into the distance. Once, she suddenly mentioned her grandfather. "Yesterday, he came back, standing right in the corner of the yard, telling me to prepare to go with him." Ms. Hoa was startled but thought she was confused, so she smiled and said, "I was just dreaming. He passed away a long time ago." Mr. Hung, in the hasty phone calls, also realized that his mother no longer asked as many questions as before. In the past, she often asked, "How are you eating? Is your grandson good?" Now, she just replied, "Yes, I know." Once, when he told her about a new project at the company, she just kept quiet, then said something that stunned him. "Hung, I don't think I have much time left." He brushed it off. "Don't talk nonsense, Mom. I still have a long life to live with my children and grandchildren." But he didn't know that her decreased interaction and lack of words were an important sign. As her body weakened, Mrs. Land's vitality also gradually faded. She no longer had enough energy to talk, no longer interested in everyday stories. The words she said, such as mentioning her grandfather or the feeling of being about to leave, were not bad words. They were her way of expressing her feelings, like a subtle message. If Mr. Hung had listened, sat down and held his mother's hand, perhaps she would have felt warmer and less lonely in her final days. 3. Longer sleep than usual. One morning, Ms. Hoa came to wake Mrs. Lon up to drink tea as usual, but saw her still lying on the bed, covered with blankets. She called her for a long time, then she woke up, her eyes were tired. She said, "I fell asleep. I'm so sleepy lately." Before, Mrs. Lon woke up early in the morning, swept the yard, watered the plants, made tea. Now, she slept all the time. Sometimes after breakfast she wanted to go to bed. Once, her granddaughter, Na, came over to visit, pulled her hand and asked to tell her a story, but she just patted her head. "I'm tired, let's do it another day." On Hung, during a visit, saw his mother sleeping a lot. He thought that old age was like that, sleeping a lot was normal. But Ms. Hoa was worried. She told him, "On Hung, she slept very deeply. It took a long time to wake her up. When she woke up she was tired, she didn't want to do anything." He smiled. Mother must be resting to get well. But he didn't know that sleeping more than usual was a sign that her body was saving energy, preparing for the final stage. One afternoon, Mrs. Lon suddenly became unusually alert. She called Na in, told her stories of the past, laughing and talking happily. Hoa was happy, thinking that her mother was getting better. But just 2 days later, she fell into a coma and never woke up again. That was the last moment of consciousness, a phenomenon that many families had witnessed but did not understand the meaning of. If Hung had known, he would have spent more time with his mother during those days, saying the loving words that he had not had time to say. For lost memories. One day, Hoa came over and saw Lon sitting in front of the altar, muttering the name of her eldest daughter, Ha, who had passed away 10 years ago. She said, "Ha, come home and eat with me." Hoa shuddered, gently reminding, "Grandma, Ha has gone far away." Lon was bewildered, then nodded, "Yes, I forgot." But the next day she asked again, "Where is Ha? Why can't I see her?" Hung, when listening to Hoa's story, just thought that his mother was old and forgetful, which was normal. But her condition became more and more serious. One day, she called him Sir, thinking he was her husband. One time, she went out to the yard, stood still looking at the mango tree and asked, "Whose house is this? Why are you here?" Hung laughed, thinking his mother was joking, but Hoa's heart was heavy. That was a sign of forgetfulness, confusion of time and space. Mrs. Lon clearly remembered old stories, like her wedding day, but forgot whether she had just had breakfast. Old memories, where she felt safe, became the place where she lived more than reality. Hoa advised Hung, "Brother, don't scold her when she's confused, just gently guide her, so she feels secure." But he was busy, only telling Hoa to pay attention to her mother. If he had spent time sitting with her, listening to those confused stories, perhaps she would have felt more loved, even though her memories were gradually fading. 5. Subtle goodbyes. One afternoon, Mrs. Lon suddenly called Hoa in, giving her an embroidered handkerchief that she had kept since her youth. She said, "Keep it for me. If you miss me later, take it out and look at it." Hoa smiled, "I'm this healthy, I'll live a long time." But she just smiled, her eyes distant. Then she called Hung, her voice slow, "Hung, come back when you have time, I have something to tell you." He was busy with a meeting, promised, "Yes, I'll arrange it." But he didn't know that was one of the unusual behavioral changes, a subtle goodbye. Mrs. Lon started cleaning the house, wiping the family photo frame, arranging the clothes neatly. One day, she sat down to write a letter, her handwriting shaky, telling Hung to take care of Na and live happily. Hoa was surprised, asked what she was doing. She just said, "I want everything to be neat." Then one day, she was unusually alert, ate more, and smiled and talked to Na. Hung, listening to Hoa's story, was happy, thinking that his mother was healthy again. But that was the last moment. That night, she fell into eternal sleep, her face peaceful. When Hung returned home and saw his mother lying quietly on the bed, with a letter and a handkerchief beside her, he understood the signs he had overlooked. She did not blame him, but the words she said and the actions she took were her way of saying goodbye to her loved ones. The underlying cause of Mrs. Lan's passing. Mrs. Lon did not just pass away because of old age. There are underlying causes that Hung, and we, often do not pay attention to. Silent underlying disease. Mrs. Lon had high blood pressure for many years, but there were no obvious symptoms. A transient increase in blood pressure gradually weakened her body. If she had had regular health checkups, her children and grandchildren might have discovered it early. Mental breakdown. After Ms. Ha passed away, Mrs. Lon lived alone in the old house. Hung was busy and rarely came home, making her feel that no one needed her. If he had spent time talking to her, she might have found her joy in life again. Weakened immune system. Old age makes her susceptible to illness. A cold in the fall turned into mild pneumonia, leaving her exhausted. If she had been given nutritional supplements and a flu shot, her health would have been better. Lack of proper care. Hung loved his mother, but only cared about material things, not realizing that she needed companionship. If he had let her participate in small tasks, such as picking vegetables or telling stories to her grandchildren, she might have felt more useful. Natural biological transformation. Mrs. Lan's body, like an old machine, was tired after many years. Her heart, lungs, and kidneys gradually slowed down, preparing for a gentle departure. What her children and grandchildren could do was stay by her side, letting her pass away peacefully. Mrs. Lan's story is not an uncommon one. Perhaps even in your family, there is an elderly person who is silently sending out signs of the end of life, waiting for a handshake, a word of love. Don't let the promise, "I'll be back someday," become a promise that is never fulfilled. Don't let work and a busy life make you forget that time with your loved ones is limited. Do it today. Observe carefully. If your loved ones eat less, sleep more, talk less, forget things, or have strange behaviors, don't think it's just old age. Take the time to understand, take them for a health check. Listen and accompany. Sit down, listen to their stories, even if they are repetitive stories. A handshake, a family meal can bring more joy than you think. Take care of them properly. Don't just worry about material things, let them feel useful. Encourage them to exercise lightly, eat nutritious food, and get vaccinated to increase their resistance. Say loving words, don't wait until tomorrow. Say, "I love you, Mom," "Grandma, I miss you," today, while they can still hear. My friend, life is unpredictable, no one knows what tomorrow will bring. But what you can do is cherish every moment with your loved ones. Call your parents, visit your grandparents, or simply sit with them and listen to them talk about the old days. Don't let them leave you with only regrets and unread letters. What will you do today to make your loved ones feel loved? Take action now, because a look, a word of inquiry, can be the most precious gift you give them in their final days. There are many other stories and content related to the elderly. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to follow many new videos.